Few boxers in history have carried the aura, arrogance, and artistry that Naseem Prince Hamed brought to the ring. A man who could knock opponents out cold while somersaulting into the ring, he was a once-in-a-generation figure who blurred the line between sport and spectacle. As of now, Hame's net worth is estimated to be around £45 million. This fortune comes not only from his glittering professional career, but also from smart financial management, endorsements, and his lasting reputation as a boxing icon. Even in retirement, his name sells headlines, and the upcoming biopic Giant, set to release in 2025, is expected to add another chapter to his financial and cultural legacy. But behind the glitz and swagger lies a story of resilience. An immigrant child from Sheffield who fought not only opponents in the ring but stereotypes, expectations, and personal demons outside it. Early life. Naseem Hamed was born on February 12, 1974, in Sheffield, South Yorkshire, England, to Yemeni immigrant parents. His father, Sal Hamed, had moved to Britain from Yemen in search of opportunity, working tirelessly to provide for his growing family. Naseem was one of 10 children, raised in a modest, working-class home where discipline, faith, and family were the pillars of everyday life. As a boy, Naseem was small and wiry, but his energy was boundless. At the age of 7, his father took him to the Winkabang Gym in Sheffield, run by legendary Irish trainer Brendan Ingle. Ingle instantly spotted something extraordinary in the boy: lightning reflexes, natural balance, and a fiery confidence rare in children. Training at Winkabang was unlike anywhere else. Ingle's unorthodox methods included making kids dance, shadowbox with rhythm, and even recite poetry to build confidence in rhythm. For young Naseem, it was the perfect environment to fuse athleticism with flamboyance. His faith as a devout Muslim also grounded him, shaping his sense of identity in a society where second-generation immigrants often struggled to belong. In school, Hamed was bright but restless. He attended Earl Marshall School, though education took a back seat to boxing. While other kids dreamed of cars or music, Naseem dreamt of being a global superstar. He told classmates he'd be a millionaire by 20, and, as history would prove, he wasn't far off. Personal life. Behind the cocky grin and chest-thumping swagger, Hamed has lived a deeply family-centered life. In 1998, he married Alicia Elphinstone, a Scottish woman who converted to Islam prior to their wedding. Their marriage was celebrated quietly, away from the media circus, and together they have raised 2 sons, Adam and Sammy. Both sons have taken to boxing, carrying the Hamed name into a new generation. Adam, in particular, has been making waves on the amateur scene, with many speculating about a professional debut that could rekindle the Hamed legacy. Faith remains a cornerstone of Hamed's life. Throughout his career, he proudly carried his Muslim identity into the ring, reciting the takbir, Allahu Akbar, before fights. At a time when Muslim athletes were rare on the global stage, Hamed's unapologetic display of faith made him a cultural figurehead for Britain's Muslim and Asian communities. However, life outside the ring hasn't been without turbulence. In 2005, Hamed was involved in a high-speed car crash while driving his Mercedes-Benz McLaren SLR. The accident left another driver seriously injured. Convicted of dangerous driving, Hamed was sentenced to 15 months in prison, of which he served 4. The incident tarnished his reputation, and in 2007, he was stripped of the Member of the Order of the British Empire, MB, honor he had been awarded in 1999. Today, at 51 years old, Hamed lives a quieter life with his family, splitting time between his luxury residence in Windsor and time abroad. While he no longer courts media attention with the same flamboyance, he remains an admired figure, often attending big fights as a ringside guest. In 2024, he even teased the idea of a charity comeback fight, potentially sharing a card with his sons in the Middle East, though whether this materializes remains to be seen. Professional career. The meteoric rise. Turning professional at just 18 years old in 1992, Hamed quickly earned a reputation as a knockout artist. Fighting in the lower weight divisions, where skill often outweighed raw power, Naseem's ferocity shocked fans. By 1994, he had claimed the European bantamweight title. By 1995, he was the WBO featherweight champion, demolishing Steve Robinson in Cardiff. What made Haim different wasn't just his wins, it was the way he won. His southpaw stance, hands often dangling at his sides, invited opponents to lunge in, only for him to counter with a lightning left hand that sent them tumbling to the canvas. His unorthodox footwork, cat-like reflexes, and knockout power were combined with a showman's flair rarely seen outside heavyweight boxing. The showman. Haim's entrances were as legendary as his knockouts. He once entered the ring on a magic carpet, another time dancing his way down the aisle to hip-hop beats. He somersaulted into the ring, shadow-boxed with arrogance, and taunted opponents relentlessly. To his fans, he was a hero. To his critics, a clown. But no one could deny he sold tickets. By the late 1990s, he was commanding purses previously unheard of for featherweights. His fight against Kevin Kelly at Madison Square Garden in 1997 is still remembered as one of the most thrilling debuts in U.S. boxing history. In a 4-round war, both men were knocked down multiple times before Haim landed the decisive blow. Over the next few years, he unified belts, beating champions like Tom Johnson, Wilfredo Vasquez, and Cesar Soto, and at one point held the WBO, IBF, and WBC featherweight titles. His record stood at 36-0 with 31 knockouts. The fall. But no reign lasts forever. On April 7, 2001, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Haim faced Marco Antonio Barrera, a disciplined Mexican technician. Barrera frustrated the Prince with a tight defense, sharp counters, and relentless pressure. For the first time, Haim looked human. After 12 rounds, he lost by unanimous decision, the only defeat of his professional career. Though he returned in 2002 with a points victory over Manuel Calvo, Haim was a shadow of his former self. Citing chronic hand injuries and waning motivation, he announced his retirement at just 28 years old. His final record: 36 wins, 1 loss, 31 knockouts. Legacy. Haim's impact goes beyond statistics. He transformed boxing into entertainment, proving that lighter-weight fighters could be global superstars. He broke down racial barriers in Britain, giving second-generation immigrants a champion they could proudly claim. He influenced fighters like Tyson Fury, Conor McGregor, and Israel Adesanya, all of whom cite his bravado as inspiration. In 2015, he was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, cementing his place among the sport's immortals. House tour and car collection. While private about his finances, Haim is known to enjoy luxury. He has resided in Windsor, Berkshire, near the royal family's estate, where he lives in a lavish mansion surrounded by high walls and manicured gardens. Car enthusiasts recall his love for speed, sometimes to his detriment. Over the years, he has owned an enviable collection of cars, including Mercedes-Benz McLaren SLR, the car involved in his infamous crash, Ferrari F50, Corvette Stingray, and several Range Rovers for family use. Though less ostentatious today, he remains passionate about high-performance vehicles, though he drives with far more caution. Unlike many athletes who balance sports with academics, Haim's path was singular. He never attended university. By the time his peers were applying to college, he was already knocking men out in front of thousands. His education came from the gym under Brendan Ingles' mentorship, where he learned not just boxing technique, but confidence, showmanship, and mental resilience. As of today, Naseem Haim is alive and well. At 51 years old, he continues to live privately with his family, occasionally making public appearances at major fights. Rumors of ill health have circulated at times, largely due to weight gain after retirement, but there are no credible reports of his death. Naseem Haim's story is the story of ambition unchained. From the backstreets of Sheffield to the bright lights of Madison Square Garden, he proved that size, background, and convention could be defied. He brought artistry to boxing, inspired millions, and left with a record most fighters can only dream of. But what makes his legacy enduring isn't just the belts or the knockouts. It's the memory of a man who dared to be different, who somersaulted into rings, recited prayers before punches, and turned every fight into a global spectacle. Love him or loathe him, one thing is certain. The Prince changed boxing forever.